Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today, Ted, we have the unique opportunity to be with Kim Saylor of CDK Global, and we have a really important study that we're going to be able to share with our audience today.
Sarah, you're so right. Kim is a great friend of our industry. We want to welcome her back. Kim, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
CDK also does so much for the industry. Thank you so much. CDK is a certified partner and an advisory board member on the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Uh, Kim, it's a real treat because I know today you're going to share with Sarah and I some information on the service shopper study. But before we do, I imagine we're going to see CDK next week, big time at NADA in Las Vegas.
For sure, we'll be there. So come to our booth.
All right. Sarah and I will be over to see you. We'll talk about that again a little bit later. But Sarah,
Okay.
if you want to open up, we've got some questions.
Yes, we do, Ted. And Kim, I'm so excited because this is the fifth year CDK has conducted the service shopper study. And so, can you share a bit about what makes this year's research stand out and why it's so relevant for dealerships right now?
Yeah, thanks. It is the fifth year. It's exciting. So this year's shopper study, it's timely. We surveyed over 2,000 vehicle owners. So not just about what drives their loyalty, their satisfaction with the dealership, but what makes them make the decision on where they want to take their vehicle for service, which is, very important. And what's unique about this year's is that we're not just looking at independent shops and chain shops in comparison to the dealership, but we're also tracking mobile service providers as well. And so this year's study gives dealers insights into things they can take action on. So things to help improve customer retention, adapt to the changing needs and expectations of the customers, as well as really future proofing their fixed operation. So especially as the younger generations come in, like the Gen Zs, as they become a bigger part of that service shopper market.
Kim, I'm curious when you look at the reasons why customers keep coming back for service, what really sets dealers apart from you mentioned the independents or the chains in your view?
So, one of the things from the shopper study we learned is that what really sets dealers apart is the relationship. So, customers overwhelmingly are saying that the existing relationship that they have with the dealership, whether it's they bought their car there or they have serviced their car there, it's the top reason that customers are bringing their car to the dealership, that relationship that they have. The second reason that brings the customers in is the service staff knowledge. And the third reason is the dealer's reputation. So dealers have an edge when they focus on building trust and making sure that every service visit feels personal. And there's tools that dealers can use to help continue growing that relationship as well as promoting that staff knowledge. And one of the tools we've talked about a lot on the Ted Ings Fixed Ops Roundtable is like the technician video. So that tool can really help both promote that relationship. So now the customer is getting a relationship with the technician, but it also helps promote that technician's knowledge. So it's, helps the staff knowledge, and it reinforces the value that the dealership brings. So really focusing on things that help the dealer and these ways can help with that customer retention.
And Kim, we before the technician has the opportunity to really get in there and have these video conversations and opportunities with our customers, we all know scheduling service can be a pain point in that customer experience. And based on the study, what are some of the biggest friction points you're seeing in dealership appointment setting? And what are some of the practical ways dealers can smooth out that process?
So scheduling can be a challenge. And one of the main reasons is because the study shows that over 60% of customers are still calling the dealership to get their service scheduled. So not only that, but the average hold time was over 9 minutes, which, is a crazy long time to wait on hold to get a service appointment scheduled. Now, last year's study showed over 8 minutes, and I was really hoping that was going to be like a fluke or we'd see
Right,
it go
right.
down, but it actually went up. And so, an obvious way to help with that would be for a dealer to use an AI virtual assistant. And that would eliminate any on hold, right? As soon as the customer calls in, it would get answered. But I know that dealers are, afraid, and I don't know if afraid's the right word, maybe hesitant to use a virtual assistant because they're concerned that their customers won't like it. They won't get the experience that, they want to provide their customer. But if a customer's waiting for 9 minutes, that experience is already broken. And those customers calling in for service, those are your service leads. And we don't want any of those dropping through the cracks. We wouldn't let any sales leads drop through the cracks. So another thing that, a virtual assistant can do is also let you know that if any of those customers dropped because, maybe, for whatever reason, it's not for being on hold, but maybe they dropped because for whatever reason, the virtual assistant can tell the dealer, hey, here's who dropped, and where did they get in the process of scheduling that appointment. And so I understand the hesitancy of being concerned about the customer's experience, but our shopper study showed that 31% of customers would actually prefer to use an AI virtual assistant to schedule their appointments. So that should take away some of that hesitancy. And when you look at the younger customers, the Gen Zs, that number skyrockets. They're way more, they would way more prefer to use an AI virtual assistant.
Kim, that's amazing. I want to come back to what you just talked about, the younger generation, the Gen Z. Did the research uncover anything unique as to how Gen Z approaches scheduling service compared to, other generations, i.e., like myself?
Well, so I think no surprise really is that the Gen Zs are much more likely to use digital channels. For example, 43% of them schedule their appointment through the dealer's website, and another 14% use chat, which is much higher than the older generations like ourselves. But, they want what's convenient, they want speed, they're comfortable with technology. So for a dealership, I think really it's important to be looking at your online scheduler, be looking at things that might be causing friction in that, utilize things like a Google search integration so that when, let's say I go search for Mercedes service in Austin, then when it finds your dealership there, I can schedule right from that Google search instead of having to jump over to the dealer's website and find where to schedule it there. So just my recommendation would be to look at what what you have, your digital experience, and see how you can reduce that friction. I'll give you an example. I went earlier this week to schedule an appointment for my car for a dealership, that I've taken my car to over and over again. But when I got to the point, I went and put in what service. It was just for maintenance. It came to the, date and time. There was nothing available. And I'm certain that if I call the dealership, they're going to be able to give me a date and time for, having a maintenance on my vehicle. So, there's things that may be happening that maybe the dealer's not even aware of. So this one to me is more of an awareness. Look at your digital channels, your online channels, and make sure that you can remove any friction that might be there.
Kim, you're so right about the friction piece, and that that parallel between what's actually available when you
Mm,
call in versus what's available online. That creates that difference in capacity. Really
Mhm.
creates those friction points, and those friction points can sometimes translate over into online reviews. And I know I'm certainly somebody that before I'm considering a business, I'm influenced and I look at online reviews, and they seem to be really everywhere now across all kinds of different platforms. How much do they really influence where customers, especially the younger ones like Gen Z, are
mm.
choosing to get their vehicle serviced?
Yeah, so online reviews are hugely influential. Just like you were saying, Sarah, I check out reviews before I buy anything these days. And so if you go back to what I said about like the top three reasons service shopper chooses a dealership, the third one was the dealer's reputation, and online reviews certainly plays into whether that's considered positive or negative. And that is especially true for the Gen Zs and the millennials. So over 75% of the younger customers said that reviews play an important part when they're choosing who they're going to take their car to have it serviced. And that compares to just 35% of boomers. So what that means is dealers really need to pay close attention to, their online reputation, and, encourage happy customers to leave a positive review, and respond to reviews quickly to show that, that you care about the customer experience. I was just talking to David Cerquera, who's the service director at Benzel Bush. They're in New Jersey, and they're one of the Fixed Ops Roundtable certified dealers. And we were talking about using AI, a totally different topic, but he was telling me that he has started using AI to help him with his online reviews. And what he's doing is, a few things which I just thought were really great to point out is, he said he responds quickly. If he has an online review, he responds quickly. He's using AI to help polish up. So like he writes out the review and he uses AI to help polish up. He said responding to these reviews can be a time killer, he said, but the AI is helping him speed that up. And then he also always leaves his name and his number when he responds. And he said he quite often gets a call back. And because of this, he said nearly 80% of the negative reviews get taken down after he's done this, after he's responded and or talked to the customer. So to me, that that seems like a great plan, a great way to attack those and make sure that your online reputation stays positive. So another thing is, you could have a tool that helps you, promote those happy customers to get more of those positive online reviews as well. But, very influential, very important to be managing those, especially, for your younger customers.
Kim, Benzo Bush is a great organization here in the New York metropolitan area, and what a fantastic best practice to have leadership actually hands-on addressing these things.
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
that every year there's at least one surprising finding that comes out of the study, and I'm curious, Kim, this year in the service shopper study, is there anything about customer loyalty uh, that got your attention when it comes to loyalty to dealerships?
So the thing that surprised me the most is the loyalty among the Gen Z and how it stood out.
Wow,
94% of Gen Zs
wow.
bring their car back to the dealership where they bought it for service. And that's higher than last year, and it's higher than every other generation. So it kind of blew my mind. I did not think they would be the most loyal customers. I felt like, someone my age would be more loyal, but apparently that's not true. And so this is really a huge opportunity for dealers, if they could deliver great customer experience to these Gen Zs, and, make sure that they have somewhat of a focus, they can build long-term loyalty with this next generation of service customers. And it's not just that they'll bring their car to the dealership for service, but 92% are likely to buy their next car at the dealership too. So it really creates the full customer for life.
Kim, that is so amazing to hear, and it really, I mean, it blows my mind to hear that loyalty again. That's your retention. Those are opportunities in your community,
Yeah.
and those positive interactions, continue to spread, especially as these younger generations are willing and able to share across all kinds of different platforms. Kim, as we wrap up, was there anything else in this year's study that genuinely, made you stop and rethink something about today's service shopper?
Yeah, so beyond, what we talked about with the Gen Z and the loyalty, which, as I said, genuinely surprised me. There was one more thing that made me take a pause and made me really think. So we learned that 11% of the people who received a recall notification did not get the work done. And so what stood out though is 60% of the Gen Zs that did not get it done did not get it done because they were afraid that it was going to lead to a big repair bill. So it made me stop and pause and think, is this an opportunity for education? Do we need to do more education with these younger customers, explaining what a recall is, that, it's not going to create a big repair bill for them. It's going to be, covered by the OEM. And so, could there be an opportunity when we are selling the car, when we are servicing the car, maybe if we're even doing marketing about the recall, is there an opportunity there to, provide some education on what a recall is, how it's handled, that it's not going to cost you a lot of money, so that we can get that customer to bring their car in for the recall, but also build trust with that customer, and by giving them additional education. So that was one thing that kind of made me take a pause when I was looking through the survey. And just overall with the service shopper study, there's a lot of valuable insights, and we've only touched on just a few as we've been talking. But if I wanted to like wrap up a theme around it, I would say that take a look at Gen Z. It's the next generation of, dealership customers, as we know, and make sure that we are, giving them the expectations that they're looking for. Focus on them, and I think if we do that as a dealership, as a community, we will, um, as we support them, we will be in a better place, and dealerships that are understanding the Gen Zs and supporting them now, I think have a better opportunity to be the strongest, in the years ahead.
Kim, next week, the industry is going to converge on Las Vegas for the 2026 NADA show.
Yeah.
Sarah and I will be out there. We look forward to meeting with you in person and coming to CDK and seeing all the innovative things that you're working on. I note that product marketing is in your title. So,
Yes.
is there anything you can share with us today? Any little hints of what's coming? Because our audience is making their plans, and obviously they're going to want to stop by CDK and see what's new and what's happening.
We definitely have some exciting things. I will say, AI is definitely in the forefront. Marketing is my life. So, maybe something in relationship to that. I would just say, please stop by our booth if you're interested. We'll have a lot of new things to show this year. We're really excited about the show.
Great conversations. We look forward to spending some time with you and our dealers and your dealers. And it's just going to be a great NADA. So
Yeah.
looking forward to it. Sarah,
Yeah.
what an exciting time to be in our industry with all the innovations happening.
It is, Ted, and it's so amazing to have Kim Saylor and CDK Global with us today, sharing all these amazing insights.
Yep. All right, Kim. For our audience, next week at NADA, please make sure that CDK is on your short list. Stop by and say hello to Kim and the team and all of our friends at CDK Global. And if you're not going, of course, you could visit them on the web. But if you're going to NADA, you'll get to see it in person. And what a great time to be on top of everything here in 2026 with fixed operations.
Yeah.
Everybody, Kim Saylor,
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate being on.
thank you for all you do for the industry. So.
Absolutely.
Kim Saylor from CDK here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.